Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, go ahead and leave a 5-star review, please, and thank you. Quick shout out to some of my stand-up dates. Actually, tonight, I will be performing at the Stress Factory in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And then this weekend, I'll be heading to the Jersey Shore, Point Pleasant Beach. I'll be performing with the Comedians of the Compound this Saturday, July 17th, I think at the Brunswick Mall, if I'm not mistaken, there in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. And then I'll be headlining this coming Tuesday, the 20th at Jinx, right on the boardwalk there. So a couple shows in Jersey. And then I'm heading to New Orleans August 13th and 14th to perform at the New Comedy Theater down there. And then I'm heading back to Vegas September 10th and 11th with Comedians of the Compound, and then back to Texas September 17th and 18th to headline Hyenas in Dallas. Love that club. Quick shout out to my sponsor, Cushy Dreams. They are my go-to for all things CBD related. I want to talk to you guys about Cushy Dreams. They offer a full lineup of premium smokable CBD. They specialize in extraordinary CBD-rich hemp flower, also known as bud, and pre-roll CBD joints. I personally really like the joints because they're just sort of like easier and cleaner and more portable. You can enjoy all the health benefits of CBD without getting high. There's under 0.3% THC in all of these products. It's cannabis that ships directly to you, and it's legal in all 50 states. Join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. Looks, smells just like high-quality marijuana, but it's not. Best of all, it's grown here in the USA. Each batch is slow cured for 2 to 4 weeks to guarantee maximum freshness and preserve flavor and cannabinoids. And you can check out on their website all their independent lab tests to see how they ensure compliance and purity. And you can see all the results on the website there. They have different indica sativa blends like energy, relax, create, dream, hustle. So if you want to be a little bit more up or a little bit down, they have a strain for you. So go to cushydreams.com. That's KUSHY dreams.com and get to relaxing. Get that anxiety out. Use promo code CMP to get 20% off every order. Not just the first, but every order, and smoke your CBD. Guys, I'm so excited to have this guy on the podcast. He's an actor. You've seen him. The credits are pretty impressive on this guy. The Irishman, Boardwalk Empire, The Wire, Cold Pursuit, The Family. The list goes on and on. We're going to get into some of his work and cool things he's done. Domenick Lambardozzi, how are you?
Good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited to have you. I am blown away. So most people probably saw The Irishman. Maybe it took them one shot. Maybe they broke it into 2 sittings. But that's got to be one of the most impressive movies I've seen in a while. And you played the role of Fat Tony Salerno. I think it was like later on when he was maybe close to death or like back in jail or something. And you had to wear a ton of prosthetics for this role. I'm just going to show the people what you had to look like because it's really it's unbelievably impressive, the transformation that you had to go through. You were unrecognizable to a lot of your fellow. So that's you normally, obviously. And then let's see what you had to, boom. This is what you had to look like to play the character. What was it like to get this much stuff put on your face?
That was towards pretty much probably towards the end of his life. I think he was quite up there. There was, I think, 3 different phases of makeup, roughly, I think, anywhere from 23 to 25 different pieces to make up that whole thing there.
Wow.
And basically, after every work day, it all comes out, it gets thrown in the garbage, and then Mike Marino would have all the pieces on like a dummy that we molded early on So it was very important to stay the same weight. It was very important not to like lose weight, gain weight, to stay the same, because everything was based on those measurements from that particular time. So now when they put it on the dummy, they basically just transferring it on, and then it kind of just gels all together. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
I can't believe that they don't reuse any of these pieces here.
No. Just the wig, just the wig stuff. But as far as all the skin stuff, no, those are all separate pieces. That's not like one complete thing. It's piece here, piece for the chin, piece for the nose, piece that goes underneath the eyes, piece for the ears, the neck, especially like the jowls here.
Wow. Yeah.
Probably up to here.
Holy cow. Even though you had like a crew neck shirt on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and supposedly you had to wake up at get there at 3:30 in the morning to start this whole process.
Yeah, we get there around 4 hours before everybody else, before crew call.
What would you do while this was all being put on you? Like, would you get bored?
No, I mean, I had Mike Marino, his crew. We had our own little trailer. We had a good time. We knew we were going to be there for 4 hours. So I would do like 2.5 hours straight. Then I would get up, go outside, get some fresh air, come back in, and then we would finish up. But they were great companions.
Wow. And you had to gain weight for this role. You had to
gain a certain amount of weight. I got up to a certain weight, and I think it was maybe 235 up to that point or something like that, 230. And then still had to use like a fat suit. Wow. But the more I gained, the less I had to.
Fat suit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could see a fat suit on somebody when they're skinny, I just wanted it to kind of gel together to like morph in pretty evenly. And that's basically the weight that I was able to get to. Yeah. That was the cutoff time. Yeah.
No, that's really, really cool. That's really impressive. What and here's another view. This is you here. Wow.
Mike Marino, yeah.
Yeah, and Mike Marino is the makeup artist here. So he's even he's putting makeup all over your head. This is amazing.
He does everybody. He's I think like one of 3 people who do this.
Wow.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
That's really neat. How did it feel to work with, Scorsese and De Niro and Pacino and Pesci? Were you freaking out? I mean, you're such a professional. You have such a long career. You've been steadily working since the early 90s. So I'm sure you weren't super nervous, but again, these are some of the all-time greats.
Yeah. I had a relationship with De Niro prior to this, but working with Joe, working with Marty, there were projects that I worked that I was affiliated with, that Marty was affiliated with, but I've never worked with him on a personal level like that. So to work with him and to work with Joe and also Bob and my friend Steven, and I mean, I had a lot of friends on this movie that I mean, most of my scenes were with Bob and Joe, but it was good to see a few actor friends of mine that were in this movie. But
how long was the shooting process for, that you were involved
in? They kind of grouped everything in for me. 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay. That's not bad.
3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah. How did you prepare for this role? I mean, could you compare it to any other role that you've done in terms of preparation?
This, and when you're playing an actual person, it was important for me to get his mannerisms, to his temperament. I wanted to know how he sat in a chair, how he smoked a cigar, which he basically chewed, which got me freaking sick.
Oh God!
And then I also did I played Jack Maple on The Deuce, who was also a real person, and it was important for me to get, it's different. There's certain things that you want. There's certain, maybe the way they walk, maybe their their temperament, their voice, just something that like a hook that brings you back, and then part of you, and it kind of morphs into something, and you don't want to mimic somebody. You have to bring, for me, I have to bring some of myself into there, because that brings the emotions, and makes it. I try to make it as truthful as possible.
Because if you mimic somebody, I imagine it could possibly come off as like, I don't know, not condescending, but like less authentic or less genuine. Is that why you don't want to like direct mimic?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's just not part of the procedure for me. It's just there are certain things that I can't par with that person. How they sat in the chair, how they would drink, were they hot-headed, were they calm, did they look at you when they spoke to you, or were they shy, were they all these little, and on Fat Tony there really wasn't much to go on. There wasn't a lot of footage on it. There was like one footage of him being arrested. Other than that, there really wasn't much.
So then, in a way, you can like bring more of yourself to it, because you got to make up for it somehow. Like if there's not a ton of footage.
Yeah.
Dom, there's definitely fans of yours in the chat here. Flash is saying it's not easy to play Fat Tony Salerno. Somebody else in the chat, I always love practical effects over digital. Blessed Mom, loved you in Breakout Kings.
Thank you.
I got some fans in here. Do you, I don't know, how do you and possibly other actors, do you think, feel about de-aging technology? I would be worried that, is it ultimately something that you feel like could, put some actors out of work or take away roles from real people? Like if they have this de-aging technology, is that at all kind of like not really a threat, but how do you feel about like a show or a movie using your likeness maybe in the future, like after you're dead or something? How does that make you feel?
Is it taking jobs away? I'm not sure, but I still think there still needs to be a lot. It's a little, sometimes when I watch something like that, it's hard for me. The first 5 minutes I'm watching it, I'm looking at the person. I'm trying, and I lose the story. So it takes me out of the movie a little bit. And then I'm looking to see that really does look like Kurt Russell 20 years ago, and I'm blown away. It doesn't bother me. I don't know. Will it take work away from it? I don't know. I try not to really think of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of like blowback from, I think it was, it might have been in the Mandalorian when they de-aged Mark Hamill a fair amount for like Luke Skywalker, and obviously people are always going to have something to say about everything that happens, but I can understand, like, you're using this particular character. There's no way you can make them look younger. Sometimes it just has to be done.
It's something else, it's like going from film to video. No one really shoots on film anymore, right? And now it's video, and you see the difference. I see the difference. That's an adjustment, and I think that this is another adjustment. I think if people bark enough, and the money will dictate everything, right? If
Mhm.
things are not making money, they're gonna go away from it. But as far, it doesn't bother me.
I talked to a couple actors recently. They were more commercial, more like in the comedy world with commercial, maybe a little bit of TV stuff, but they were feeling like, oh, it's a really tough time to be like a white dude or a straight white dude. And in your experience over the span of your whole career, have you noticed any of that at all? Like, oh, it's tough to be a white dude now, or do you just? It seems like
It's
you just keep working.
it's always been tough being Domenick Lambardozzi. I could tell you that. So I've always had to sing and dance for my food. So now is no different. I mean, are adjustments being made now? Diversity and everything, and yeah, I mean things are different than they were 3 years ago before COVID. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So I think the pendulum just has to be in the middle where it should be, and then maybe they won't feel that way. But I've always, I always had a fight for every role, and so it's no different. It's no different for me.
Yeah, you haven't noticed like get any hard. I mean, it's hard to pursue it. Yeah,
Yeah.
at all. You just have to make your way. And I don't know, do you feel like you're sort of typecasted? Is that necessarily a bad thing?
Early, yeah, early on in my career, absolutely. The last few jobs that I've had, the last few productions, kind of veered off that. People were thinking a little outside the box, so I had that opportunity. Didn't have to necessarily play the heavy, and
What do you mean
so
the heavy?
the heavy, the bad guy,
The tough guy.
the tough guy, rough around the edge, that guy. I've been able to play characters that are more multi-dimensional, more emotional. So yeah, recently, it took a long time.
Was the Bronx Tale would you consider like your break, your first big role?
Got me my SAG card. Yeah.
And with
So
the SAG card, is that just a number of hours or?
no, I think I was. I get this all the time. How do I get a SAG card? And I honestly don't know. I know there are certain rules. I know waivers or get a speaking role or a principal role, and you're automatically eligible. So I think because I had a speaking role and I was a principal character, it automatically made me eligible. But there are so many times I'm on a set that an extra will ask me, how do I do this? How do and I think for everybody it's different. Just like it's different getting an agent, just like it's different getting a manager, there's so many different channels into this business. And for me, I kind of got lucky being 15 years old, having a speaking part, already having that card that at 15 I didn't realize what I had.
Wow, yeah, I didn't know you were so young when you got that.
It was later on in life I realized, wow, it's there are a lot of hurdles for someone to get a SAG card, and then you have a SAG card, and then what do you do with it? How do you audition? How do you get auditions? It's just one hurdle after the other, after the other, after the other. It's a grind. It's a grind. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of part-time jobs that you don't want.
Yeah.
Jobs that you could just, I'm sure you understand,
For sure. That you feel like you're above, it's like.
Look at all the dates you were reading off. I'm going to be here this day. I'm going to be in Texas. I'm going to be in Jersey. I'm going to be this. Look at the sacrifice that you have to be away from your family.
You're like, you have to go to Jersey. Yeah, sometimes it does. But like just with
But,
I
you know,
totally feel you on like, yeah, side jobs, day jobs. I've had so many over the years. It's like it feels like with acting and comedy, you never get to a point where it feels like you can just coast unless you're maybe like ultra famous. But
well, I mean, look at the union. If you break down how many actors are in the Screen Actors Guild, look how many actors you have a total membership of the Screen Actors Guild. Look at how many actors actually work, actors and actresses who actually work. And then there's maybe that 5, 6, 7% that work occasionally. And then there's that 1, 2% that make crazy amounts of money. Leads of movies, leads of shows, so the majority of the union doesn't work.
wow. Yeah. They're making coffees.
Yeah. Well, I they got Matthew Modine. He's running for Screen Actor Guild president. But I know whoever becomes the president of the Screen, things really need to change.
What would you change? What's like?
I think the whole streaming thing, insurance, the qualifications to get insurance. I think for the actors who don't work that much, there needs to find a way to take care of them. Actors depend on their residuals when they're not working. They depend on that. They live off that. They pay their bills with that. They feed their families with that. So now there are certain places where you work where you don't get residuals, and that needs to change.
Right. It makes sense because it's still your work. It's still living on. Yeah. People are still enjoying it.
I'm still trying to get my head around paying dues during a pandemic.
Oof.
When you couldn't work.
Do they make everyone pay dues still?
I know I paid my dues during the pandemic.
Oh, and they're not cheap. It's
I got that bill in the mail.
It's like over $1,000, isn't it? It's like a lot.
It's a lot more than that for certain people. It's a lot more than that for me.
Wow.
I'll tell you that.
Wow, that's wild. You would think with all these places getting breaks and I don't know, stimulus and shit, like that they would.
It's part of the hypocrisy, I guess. Who knows? I don't know. I ain't a politician. I'm not trying to be. And I could care less.
But your industry and the union and what sticks out to you.
No, I know there are people that are not being taken care of. I know that. And that needs to be addressed.
Could someone like you run? Like, I don't know anything about it.
I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it. It's not something that I'm not qualified to do something like that.
You mentioned like this business is all about sacrifice. Like, what do you think has been like the biggest sacrifice?
Time away from my family, friends,
yeah, like leisurely travel. That's what I find like for comedy.
And you sacrifice a little bit of yourself. You sacrifice your I don't want to say your spirit, but you prepare for an audition, you prepare for a role, you there's just a lot of rejection. There's a strike against you as soon as you walk in the door. And it's rejection. And then boom, you get the gig and all that goes away. And then boom, you finish the gig and then you're right back at it.
Oh, back to the more rejection. Yeah. It's just like comedy.
You're back in the race and you're swinging for the fences again.
That's something you don't hear a lot of actors say about, like, you do sacrifice a little bit of your like spirit and soul. Like, you have to I feel like so much of the job is is being able to handle rejection, and nobody sees that because they just see you
So difficult.
when you're doing great and when you're on TV.
Yeah, I know there are a few actors who I know who are very good friends of mine who are able to shrug that off, and it takes me a minute. It takes me a minute.
Yeah, especially when you're so good. There's so many fans in here. Someone mentioned they really loved you as Herc in The Wire.
Thank you.
Wow, we got fans up in here. Let's see. Any interesting questions for Dom? This is from Frank Pellegrino. I think you know him. Is there a role Dom almost got that he really wanted? Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know if you can say it?
There are many. There's a difference between being offered a role and not taking the role, and then that role wind up being
Right.
like
blowing up and being
it blows up. And then there's, man, I was so close. I've had a lot of, that was very, very close. It could, it could have went either way.
Anything that I would know?
Gotham was one. There were a few. I mean, I don't want to, riff off any, but there were a few. There were a handful.
Yeah, I always find that stuff so interesting. Like when these articles come out, like, oh, it could have been Emily Blunt, and you try to envision like it was somebody else, but yeah, nobody ever sees like
right
who was next in the running or who could have done a better job. It's all so crazy. Oh, Nathan Alexander loved you on Entourage.
Hey, you're one of the.
How is it working with Jeremy Piven?
I work with Jeremy, great guy. They're all great. I love working with all those guys. I consider them family and friends. They welcomed me. I mean, I had the character, and I expressed this with Doug Ellen and their podcast, the Victory podcast, and all that. And but yeah, it was. The environment, the people I work with were unbelievable. Just gearing up, coming out of the trailer and playing that guy took, I had to get my head around being that type of guy, being that bully, being like, part of it felt like a bully. There were moments where he felt like a bully. There were moments where he was your best friend. I grew up with a lot of people like that. But yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. And Jeremy, I mean, he's an unbelievable actor. I mean, what he did on that show, playing Ari Gold, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to forget that character.
Yeah, people love him. He was very rude to me once at a comedy show. It's all fine. Okay. I'm over it. I definitely don't talk about it anymore. No, he was just like kind of condescending, but I get it. He's a big deal.
What it is? I leave it at work. I don't really mingle. I'm a homebody. I'm not out there. I could really care less. You know,
separate. Yeah, that's good.
I have friends. I have my friends.
Yeah.
I don't go to work looking to make friends, although I make them. And those are the jobs that mean so much to me. People are like, oh, what's your favorite role? Some of my favorite roles are the projects that I've been on where I could pick up the phone and call somebody that was affiliated with that I could not talk to them for 2, 3, 4, 6 months and then pick up where we left off.
Oh, yeah.
I cherish those relationships, and I have many of those. And so I don't have a favorite role. I have great experiences. I have fun times that I remember. I know what roles were challenging, what weren't, but each project brought something special. That till if you mention a project, I could go to something that I remember from that particular project. I'm like, oh, it'll put a smile on my face.
Mm-hmm. Do you get recognized a lot? Do you get a lot of like girls hanging out by your trailer, waiting for you? This is just how I imagine your life is.
Those roles.
There's just girls at your trailer waiting for your prosthetic face to come off so they can shoot their shot.
No, that's two trailers down.
Give me your fake nose, Tom.
No, but the people that do come up to me, they're very respectful, and some of them pick out projects that I'm like, wow, you saw that? You mean
roles that you did and they are appreciative? Yeah,
like I remember some guy came up to me the other day and he's like, man, I think it's because of my podcast. I interviewed Vincent D'Onofrio, and so I'm walking down and someone, man, like your role in Daredevil. I only did one episode. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, you made an impact.
Yeah, like that. And Entourage, I only did 3 episodes.
Wow,
People thought I was a fixture of that show. I wasn't a fixture of that show. Maybe part of the mythology at the end of the day. I mean, if you want to take it that far, but 3 episodes.
Does the acknowledgement from the fans at all begin to like make up for all the sacrifice and all the hard days? Does it even put a dent in that? Are there some days where you're like, oh, it's worth it?
Nothing makes up you losing time away from your family. No money, no job, no fame, nothing. For me personally, but it's what I do. It's what I want to do. It's one of the most therapeutic things for me personally. When I work, it's better than anybody going to a shrink.
Wow. So you can really like work stuff out through acting? Like work your own shit out?
The only time it's the only time I can leave who I really am at the door. There are things that I do in front of the screen that I would never, ever do or show people in my real life. And so for me, it allows me a freedom to express myself in ways that I still haven't been able to let myself loose in my everyday life, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, I imagine it's probably very therapeutic if like I'm not really a violent person, but like if I had to play a role where like I was like not hitting a person, but like I imagine that's a way to get it out. Or if you're somebody who's just like playing a role who's someone who's bluntly honest and doesn't care about hurting someone's feelings, I'd be like, oh, well, that's something I kind of want to strive for in my personal life. So you get to kind of try it on.
And the gratification, I mean, especially, when you're doing some TV stuff and there's a writer there and this guy he or she spent all this time on this script, on this episode, and they're there. And you're trying to not only give them what they want, what they wrote, but enhance it in any possible way that you possibly can. And then when they come up to you and they say, man, that I like the way that came out. I like the way you, whatever the case may be, man, that makes me feel good.
Do you feel like any given role you could bring like what 30, 40, 50% of you to it, or does it depends on the role? Depends on what you're doing.
I just want to give, I have a tremendous amount of respect for writers. Like I do for comedians, which I think being a comedian is probably the toughest gig. And that's why I have so many of them on my podcast. That being said, it's really not about me. It's me making a writer who I know the discipline that it takes to do that, which I don't have. I know that. And it's important for me to make them happy. Just like it is a director, going, doing a movie, or a director, you trust them. You put your career, you put everything that you're doing in their hands. You're a sponge. You do your work, you do your homework, you come prepared, but at the end of the day, you trust them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important for me to give those people what they want.
Yeah, and do it justice, and make it come alive. Ooh, Greg here was a big fan of yours. Ooh, was great on Ray Donovan.
Thank you, Greg.
Wow, you've had the most fans of any live stream I think I've done in a while. You mentioned your podcast. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about your podcast? And you mentioned you have some comedians on. I know you're friends with Bill Burr and Paul Verzi. How did you get to be friends with them? Was it kind of?
I had a few comedians on. I had Bill. I have to get Paul on. He's on. He's on the road all the time. He's doing his thing. I think he's getting ready for a show. I just had Joey Diaz, had Sebastian, Brett Erst. Oh God, I hope I'm not missing somebody.
It's okay. If you do, we'll just put him in. We'll put it in the notes.
Yeah,
we'll fix it in post.
But yeah, I know I'm missing somebody. This is killing me right now. Killing me.
Somebody in the Bill Burr world?
Is it Stan Hope?
Maybe Doug.
Yeah, Doug. I had Doug.
He's wild. He's a funny guy.
He's great. Great. And he's an Aries.
Are you an Aries too?
We actually share the same birthday.
March
25th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aries make for very good leaders. God, I don't know too much other than that. I used to date one and then I kind of blocked it out. Did you become friends with all these comedians like through different roles, or just like how did you get to be friends with so many comics?
I just reached out to a few. Sebastian, I worked with Sebastian. I worked with Bill. I kind of Twitter hooked up with Joey Diaz, always been a fan of his. Brett, I know just from the business, and we have a lot of mutual friends. So yeah, I like to get Jim Norton on there. But Dom's Den, we had to change the name because people had a hard time spelling Dominic. So it's Dom's Den, and we put out a new episode every Wednesday on we put out a video on YouTube and then on Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. There's a link tree thing on my Instagram if anybody cares, but yeah, that's what it is.
That's good. It's like you shorten the names because people have trouble spelling Dominic, but then do people confuse Dom's Den as like a dominatrix show?
Yeah, which has always been a problem because a lot of people spell it Dominick or Dominic. It's really Domenick, obviously. But so we said, you know what, Dom's Den, nice, easy,
yeah, that sounds great. Well, I could probably, I've worked with Jim Norton a couple times. God, now I sound like this person who is dropping names. I'm not, but I just feel like you guys would be a natural thing because it seems like you tend to like the tell it like it is,
like
classic New York City.
Yeah, I love.
He's brilliant.
He's so good. He's so good.
And were you on the King of Staten Island as well?
Yeah. That's how I met Bill. I had a great time on that, working with those guys. Yeah, A lot of funny people on that. A lot of talented people.
Oh yeah.
In that movie.
It looked super. I haven't seen it yet because I think the last time it was like I had to pay, and I was like, I'll just wait till it. But I might just have to. I don't think it's out free anywhere. I probably just have to rent it, and it's interesting. Like
the splurge.
Yeah, it's a splurge because like so many people I know are on it. It really warms my heart that to hear you say like how much you've missed your family over the years, because my dad was a Teamster, and he got that growing up he was a landscaper, so he was like obviously it's hard work, and then he realized in his 40s like, oh, I can't, this isn't a job I can go into old age with. So because he had a truck driving license from driving around his truck, he was able to get a Teamster job. Like lucked out. Like my dad is so not a social networking type guy. He really just like sat in it, got so lucky, got this job. And like I don't think he ever told us once that he missed us as a family. Like I think he secretly really liked being away. I think he was like, 15-hour days, gotta go. Like I got a thing, I gotta be there at 4 a.m. And I think he kind of liked the escape. But he did, say, oh yeah, it's such long hours. It's like you got to hurry up and be there, and then you're waiting for hours.
What I meant was more, so say your home is New York and you get a TV show, and so now your TV show, like for instance, The Wire shot in Baltimore. So that's 5 years. Most of the year you're living in Baltimore.
Oh
wow. You do Rosewood. That's 2 years in Los Angeles, 8 months each.
That's significant. Wow, that's what I'm saying. That's like years away.
Yes, yes. So it's on a bigger scale, and if you start accumulating and you start adding up all those years, it's a long time. It's a long time. You miss things.
But it's like, you're also bringing home the bacon. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that the longest like time away? Was The Wire the most years out?
No, actually Rosewood was, because Rosewood, we shot for 8 months, and that was a hard schedule because just because episodic TV, procedural TV, you kind of shooting more, you have less time, and you're still shooting 60 pages.
Whoa.
The Wire, you had, we had to live in Baltimore, but I was able to dip out of there and come to New York. It's only 3 hours, whatever it is, 3.5 hours, 4 hours. That's different, but yeah, Rosewood was pretty lengthy.
Is it dumb to be like to ask you like how do you memorize so much? Like I don't know. It must just be like a certain skill, or do they chop it up enough so it's like, okay, you memorize enough for like that day, and then you memorize enough for the next day. It just, do you get like breaks in between? Like how hard is the memorization part of it?
It's all part of the work. It's all part of the prep. I usually look at the script. I look at the lines. I work them out, and then I usually work with a reader and just go back and forth, repetition. And then once I memorize the lines, then you get to know the lines. And then when you get to know the lines is when you could start playing. You're comfortable because you're not looking for the words. The words are there. So now you're worried, more about it's a bit, for me, it's a bit more visceral. I don't know what I'm going to get because I don't know who I'm acting with. I don't know what that person's going to bring that day. So I'm not really married to anything. I have a really big boundary.
Are some directors and writers like more comfortable than improv than others? Are there some that just want no improv at all? Like, if you get the character.
No. There are roles. There are certain productions where the writer and the showrunner, they want it word for word. whereas in King of Staten Island, you're able to riff here and there. Even The Irishman.
Oh wow.
You know, there are certain TV folks who are really married to their words, and that's what they want.
Can you remember anything from The Irishman that like an improvised line of yours that stuck or that they?
The beginning of the scene, the first time meeting Frank Sheeran.
Cool.
Something, you know, just riffing a little bit and then going into what was scripted, kind
That's
of
really
like,
cool.
Like a prelude into what the scene was. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you're kind of like revving up the engine, right? You're like getting ready. That's really cool, though. That's awesome. Yeah. We have a question from a fan, Greg. Met Tom briefly in Westchester County many years ago. He asked me to move my car. Ask him if he remembers. These are the kind of questions I get.
I asked him to move his car. Why would I ask him to move his car? Where?
Yeah. I don't know. Isn't that funny, the things people remember?
Were you blocking me?
Maybe you were blocking him, Greg.
Well, I don't know.
I think we discussed this a little bit. Question from Dexter. Dom's first movie, A Bronx Tale, how that came about. I think you said, yeah, you were 15.
Yeah, it was an open call.
Wow.
And kept going for the auditions and got the part.
Just like that, Dexter.
Just like that.
Oh, Kevin Burns, The Wire is an all-time great show. Somebody else had something. I don't know if this is relevant. I wore a fake body armor in the Army as they would hesitate to shoot me, but when shot, there was very little suffering. I don't want to be injured, only dead. Seen a few of The Wire, very good. Oh, I thought this was going to be more about your work in The Wire. Okay. It seems more just random. All right, taking that away. Cool. Oh, he said he was driving Jonathan Demme to... No, I don't know. No more questions. All right. Interesting. All right, cool. I was going to check through to see if anybody had any... Oh, were you on Blue Shield? Was that a show?
No. Okay. No, I wasn't.
Well, there you go. Mr. J. I will look into his work. As a couch potato, I'm offended by his wanting to work hard.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it takes, right? Because like you said, there's so many, most people aren't working. Most actors are.
I'm not working. Yeah, I mean, I'm not working right now. I haven't worked. I understand that whole thing. You know, it's just when the time is right, it'll happen.
Are there, like, I imagine, like,
peaks and valleys, man, peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you have like an agent who is like looking for you, or do you have to be constantly looking?
Of course.
Yeah. That's good. It's good to have people. Oh yeah, somebody before had a question. Like, was there ever a role that you had to like get in much like better shape to do?
No.
Okay.
No. Just make myself look worse than what I am.
You're like, I look so good. I have to turn it down a few notches.
I gotta go the other way.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone's question for you. Dom, on the set of Entourage, was the person who played E a total cokehead in real life?
No.
I guess he seemed that way, his character.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Cool. Did he ever audition for The Sopranos? Oh, yeah, you'd be perfect.
No.
Okay. All right. That seems good. Okay, talked about... I mean, yeah, I did. We did sort of talk about how you got into acting. Was there anything before A Bronx Tale?
No. No, I was young. That was my first thing. Like I said, I fell into it. You know.
Did you like take any like classes or do any training before or
No,
since?
that's one of my big regrets. Yeah, one of my big regrets was later on. I just didn't know how real it was. And what opportunities I had, and but I wish I was. I wish I went to school for that, or I don't know. Nothing led me that way. It's
Yeah.
weird, and I sit down and I went to Yale, and I went to this school, and I went to Juilliard, and that's when I get up and I go to craft service.
Yeah. I have so little patience for that too.
Participate in that conversation.
It's just like, yeah, it's just so they can sort of like, it's a
Yeah.
penis measuring contest. I don't know. That's not the right word, but it's like, I hate those conversations too, especially in comedy. It seems like
there's nothing. I wish I would have went down that road, because I think it would have instilled, and I said this before, and I just feel like I'm repeating myself, but it would have instilled some confidence that I think I needed early on in my career that I didn't have. And I think there were things that I could have learned that would have prepared me and made things just a little bit easier. So,
yeah.
I had to fall on my face a lot of times, and then just, you don't do that. This is how it's done. Kind of like that. Kind of like an apprentice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Is you just like you live, you learn. And I feel like people they kind of have to like be sold and like love you as the person. It's like, oh yeah, it's I feel like oh, we need somebody like Dom. It's like you know what I mean? It's almost like versions of yourself. Cause you know what I mean? Like your average guy can't like pretend to be like just how you come off naturally and how you sound and like your vibe. It's like there's just so many roles. Like you're perfect for it, just kind of just being you and not having to do that much.
Okay.
I'm saying you're naturally great. You're perfect the way you are, Dom. No regrets. Are you a Mets or Yankees fan?
Yankees.
Yankees all the way. Have you been to the stadium yet since the shutdown?
Yeah, I like the old stadium.
Yeah. So does everybody else. Okay, awesome. Dom, where can people find you and follow you and check out your podcast? Plug that out one more time so people can check it out.
Dom's Den podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify. There's a link tree link, I guess.
Oh yeah, the link tree. Yeah.
It's on my Instagram. And Twitter, D_Lambardozzi.
No, it's awesome.
I'm promoting myself. And Domenick Lambardozzi Instagram at Domenick Lambardozzi, or is it? Or I'm not even sure if it's at Dom Lambardozzi. But if it has a verified, that's me.
Yeah. If you can spell his name, you're halfway there.
They gave me that at least. So, all the information is there.
Go to his link tree. Thank you so much for your time, for talking to me. It was very cool to go behind the scenes with all this stuff with you.
Break the leg this weekend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dom. Bye.
Got it. Bye.
Awesome. Cool. So I will end up re-releasing this episode next Thursday, next week. So I'll do like a graphic.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll tag you on all that stuff.
Okay.
Okie doke. Thanks, Dom.
Thank you. Have a good one. Okay.